Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're embarking on something that feels, well, a lot like a comic book hero's journey. You know how every great origin story has that exact moment where the hero realizes they're being held back by invisible chains? Chains they didn't even know were there? That's what we're tackling today. We're going to learn exactly how to identify and completely break those invisible emotional contracts so you can finally step into your true power.
So let me ask you this. Are you still bound to who you were when you were hurting? Look, if you're feeling deeply, truly tired from carrying around all that past emotional baggage, I just want to validate that right here, right now. You've been in survival mode. You did exactly what you had to do to make it through. But the survival tactics that kept you safe back then, yeah, they might actually be the very things weighing you down today.
So let's identify the villains of our origin story that we really need to defeat. Section 1, invisible emotional contracts or invisible bindings. Now, when we talk about contracts in this context, we're referring to emotional agreements, spiritual permissions, habits, identities, or patterns. And here's the absolute key to all of this. They were formed during survival, pain, or times of unmet needs. Now, I want to be incredibly clear here based on our source text. Breaking these contracts is not about punishing yourself. Not at all. It's actually a heroic renunciation and, honestly, a vital realignment with who you actually are right now.
Which brings us to Section 2, the prayer of release, breaking the chains. Think of this as your superpower, or maybe your hero's incantation. It's a beautifully grounded, respectful, and spiritually clear tool designed to specifically target and break these old emotional chains. The text actually gives us this prayer to use verbatim. It starts like this. God, I come to you honest and tired. I acknowledge that there were agreements I entered into, knowingly and unknowingly, out of fear, need, loneliness, survival, or misunderstanding. We start by just acknowledging the reality of our past survival mode. It's heavy for sure, but it's completely honest. You are totally allowed to be tired. But then, the tone really shifts. I no longer consent to anything that costs me my peace, my dignity, or my identity. This right here, this is the moment in the story where you, the hero, discover your true strength. You are officially withdrawing your consent. No more.
Okay, let's dive into this next part. I renounce every emotional, spiritual, and mental contract that bound me to people, patterns, habits, or versions of myself that no longer align with who you are calling me to be. We are actively breaking ties here, guys. We're officially letting go of outdated side chicks, those old crusty habits, and past versions of ourselves that simply just don't fit the mission anymore. The prayer continues. I release the past without shame. I forgive myself for what I did not know then. I forgive others, not to excuse them, but to free myself. This is huge. Forgiveness is presented here as a profound superpower tactic. You aren't doing it to say what happened was okay, right? You're doing it to take your personal energy back. You're completely dissolving those old ties that were formed through pain, manipulation, or obligation. Next, we are formally and vigorously rejecting some specific villains. I declare that I am no longer in agreement with scarcity, self-abandonment, people-pleasing, or survival-based love. Things like survival-based love and self-abandonment literally have no place in your new, upgraded identity. Out they go. The incantation then concludes by saying, replace what I release with clarity. Replace what I renounce with peace. Replace what I break with protection and truth. I step forward free, forgiven, and aligned. Amen. Essentially, you're asking that where you previously gave access to your energy, your time, or your worth without wisdom, you're taking it back, all of it, whole, clean, and completely restored. So now that we have the words, let's look at the mechanics behind them. Section 3. Why the prayer works. The mechanics. The source text actually breaks down the science of this release into 3 absolutely crucial steps. Step 1, it withdraws consent. You see, many of these emotional and spiritual bindings only persist because your consent was never formally revoked, even just internally. Step 2, it removes shame. Shame is the fuel that keeps bad contracts alive. Forgiveness is what dissolves them. And step 3, it replaces, it doesn't just remove. Because, empty space kind of invites a return, right? So by actively asking for clarity and pace to replace what you broke, you're preventing a relapse. But words alone aren't the whole journey. Section 4, actions to stay free, closing the door. As the text wisely notes, prayer opens the door, but it's your daily action that keeps it locked tight. After you do this sacred work, you need a small confirming act. Consider your old habit. where you used to over-explain yourself all the time. Your new action? Simply saying no. You are trading a draining survival habit for a clean, protective boundary. Boom. And this brilliantly illustrates another shift. Consider this. Where your old habit was to frantically chase people or situations just to feel safe, your new action is simply letting silence exist. True peace replaces the rush, just allowing silence to be there without needing to immediately fill it. To firmly break up with who you once were, the text suggests some really practical steps. Removing reminders around your physical space that emotionally tether you to the past, or maybe even writing a letter to your old self and closing it intentionally. Basically, you're creating a definitive physical boundary to perfectly match your brand new emotional boundary. And that brings our narrative arc to its climax. Section 5, graduating from survival mode, step into freedom. This is where you fully step into your new, upgraded identity. I want you to listen to this closely. You are not rejecting yourself. You are graduating from what you needed to survive. Wow, this sacred work you're doing, even in your tiredness, it is all about leveling up. Honor those past versions of yourself that kept you alive, absolutely, but recognize that you have outgrown those tools. They don't serve you anymore. Now, the text also notes that if you need a little further help reinforcing this, there are some optional supportive tools available. Things like a forgiveness prayer specifically aimed at self-blame, or a closure without conversation ritual. Because, let's be real, sometimes you just don't get the closure you want from the other person. Or even a short daily declaration to reinforce this release day by day. So the absolutely crucial point here is summarized in this one final profound truth from our source material. You are not bound to who you were when you were hurting. Just let that sit with you for a second. It's a statement of ultimate freedom. Your pain does not dictate your permanent identity. Period. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today and leaves us with this pretty provocative question. Are you ready to break up with who you once were? You've got the tools, you have the incantation, and now you understand the mechanics behind it all. The hero's journey, it's now entirely in your hands.